Hey everybody, it's Travis from RetroBox, and today we have a special treat. We are unboxing something that I've long wanted but have delayed in purchasing, a vacuum record cleaner. And after months of research and deliberation, I finally decided that I would purchase the Music Hall WCS-2 record cleaner. So this particular one was shipped from Pleurisson in Quebec, and they did a fine job of packaging it. It's January in Canada, so that means snow, and they have the box in plastic so that it will not get wet. So let's get to it here and see what this baby looks like. So this is it. The way that the unit works, as I mentioned earlier, is you have a clamp on the top here that unscrews, and you actually clamp the record down. Screw it right down to here. This turntable turns. You have a wand, in my case a broken wand, that comes and that vacuums the debris out of the grooves automatically, and then it pops up when it's done. But luckily, I bought a replacement wand, so I'm very glad that I did that because the one that came with it arrived busted. So these are really, there's no real installation to this. You just basically kind of pop it in there, and it goes from side to side, like so. That's how it goes. Just make sure that it's set in there correctly. It has a little guy that stops it from, going all the way around. So it sets in there just like that. And then, of course, we have the power cord. Plug her on in. And of course, we have a brush as well. So one of the first albums that I want to clean is one that I know has been skipping on me. Not because of scratches and not because of an issue with my tone arm weight, but just because of compounded junk. And it's a copy of Bob Dylan's Greatest Hits Volume 2. It's an unoriginal Canadian pressing on the 2i Columbia, which is kind of neat. So we'll throw the record there on the turntable, put the weight in the clasp, and we'll twist that a little bit until it gets tight, and that of course protects the label. And the first thing that we're going to do, there's two switches on the front here. There's one for the turntable, one for the vacuum. So we'll get the turntable going. And as you can see, very quiet turntable motor. And we'll disperse some of our favorite record cleaner. This is stuff that I actually make at the store that I work at. It's basically distilled water, rubbing alcohol, and then a secret ingredient as the surfactant. I'm going to spread that around. Then I use my goat hairs brush to gently massage that into the grooves. And I want to be careful that I'm not dispersing too much over the sides so as to get the other side of the album wet, or the platter wet, so that when I do the other side of the album. Of course, one of the downfalls of using a machine like this is that you have to clean each side one after the other, whereas the nitty-gritty actually cleans both sides at the same time. So I'm gently giving this a scrub, making sure that the liquid gets all into the grooves. I've been scrubbing one direction, but I can certainly scrub the other direction as well, and backstroke. These brushes, these goat hair brushes, are quite soft, so there's no way that you can actually damage the record. So depending on how dirty the album is, you can actually give it a really good scrub. And what that liquid is doing is just getting into the grooves and causing all the dirt and debris to be lifted to the surface, so that when the vacuum goes on, it can be vacuumed up. Liquid also acts as an agent that gets rid of static, so when you hear crackle and pop and whatnot when you play a record, you can eliminate that by using a liquid cleaner to nullify the static. Making sure that has a really good scrub. And I'm going to pay attention to the outer rim, because the outer rim is where most people handle the record, so it's it's the most likely spot for there to be a large deposit of skin oil and fingerprints and whatnot, so making sure that gets a good scrub. And then when I'm ready to go, I just simply bring the wand over and I turn the vacuum on. It's going to get quite loud because this is quite a powerful vacuum, and here we go for the first clean on the WCS-2. So the manual suggests that you let it dry over 2 rotations. So I let it go for about 2 there. And then of course after that's done you can turn the turntable off, remove the clamp, and go through the same process with the opposite side. And like I was saying earlier, one of the things I really enjoy about this particular record cleaner is that although the clamp is used as part of the process, you can actually use that clamp as as a record weight when you're playing your vinyl as well. There's no threading on the inside, so it'll just fit nicely on top of your turntable, and you can use it as a record weight in case you have a record that is slightly warped. So basically the same process again. Turn on the turntable, have our favorite record cleaner here. This time I'm going to use a little less because I used a little bit too much, but just kind of spread that out like so, and then use the goat hairs brush to just massage that into the grooves. And of course you can always tilt this so that the liquid stays away from the edges, so that way you're not actually allowing it to fall off the edge of the record and potentially wet the turntable. You want to keep away from that, just because you don't want to wet the other side once one side is dry. So again, I'm going to give this a really good vigorous scrub. And I'm going to pay really close attention to the edge. And then of course once I feel like I've given it some good attention, I'm going to swing the wand over and start the vacuum. So I can already tell from looking at the record physically that it is looking much cleaner. Obviously the cleaning agent helps give it a bit of a shine. I'm going to take the clamp off, and as you can see, the record cleaner did a fine job at giving it some nice shine. You can kind of see the light reflect off of it. So very clean. Already a clean record, but was giving me some problems in a couple of spots because of the debris that had been compacted in there over the years. So we're going to spin this on the turntable and see if there's an improvement, but that's basically it. That is the WCS record cleaning machine made by Music Hall. Again, you're looking at about $1,000 when you buy it in the store. Really had wanted this for a long time, hoping that it will be a great investment for my record collection. So check it out, WCS-2 made by Music Hall. I'm very pleased with it. Strong construction, looks good, great parts. And I should mention too, the way that the dirty fluid collects is there's a little hose on the back here, and all you do, there's a clasp on it that keeps it shut, but after you've cleaned a number of records, that will fill up with dirty fluid, and you just simply put that in a jar and release it, and that's the way that you dispose of the fluid. But again, real solid model, would highly recommend it. We've used this in the store that I've worked in before. Does a really good job. Probably the most awesome thing about it is just the power of the vacuum. You know for certain that it is vacuuming out any crud that's in the grooves, and you really know for certain that once you've cleaned a record on here, it's going to sound the best that it possibly could. And if you still don't like the performance of the record, it's time to look at some of the other components in your stereo, or look at getting another copy because maybe the one you have is worn. So hopefully that's a help. So we're going to take the Dylan now for a test spin now that it's been cleaned on the Music Hall WCS-2 and see how she sounds. So I definitely see an improvement. And with an album like Dylan, when there's so much acoustic stuff going on, you really do notice when a record's not clean. And of course, even the dead wax at the beginning is a bit of a revealer, and that is significantly cleaned up after being cleaned on the WCS-2. So great machine, great success, something definitely worth investing in if you want to look after your vinyl record collection really properly and really take advantage of making your records as clean as they can possibly be so that they sound as good as they can possibly be. So just a quick follow-up after cleaning the Dylan album on the music hall WCS-2. I wanted everyone to see the debris that came off of this album. Now, of course, as you can tell, the container that I'm holding up is glass, it's clear, and the water that's inside of it certainly is not. You can probably see some hair and some debris and some particles floating around in there. The vacuum did a really good job at pulling a lot of this out of the grooves, and it's amazing to think that over years there's tons and tons of dust and dirt that are compounded into the grooves. So I would highly recommend this unit for its value. Really good value, very strong vacuum cleaner, awesome power, and the proof is in the debris that it sucked out of that record that probably hasn't been cleaned in the last 40 years. So again, I would highly recommend the WCS-2 by Music Hall. Great unit, something to definitely invest in if you want your records sounding as clean as they can be.